Okay, apologies for that. Good morning, everyone, or evening, or midday, or whatever it is for you. Good morning, Bigness. Good to see you. I really want to finish these eggs. If you haven't tuned in a while, I've basically been spending a good amount of time doing egg RNG in Fire Red and Leaf Green, which is one of the hardest RNG manips you can do in these games, in Gen 3 even. And I have done quite a few of them. I have 6 left. I have, if I just go to my sheet here, I have Tauros, which I'm working on now. I was 1 frame off Tauros last time, so I'm pretty close to getting that one. I have Kangaskhan, and I have 4 Rhyhorn. 1 for the male and female Rhyhorn, 1 for the male female Rhydon. So we're moving right along. And I would like to finish, so no time like the present, except I do want to briefly show. So the last time I attempted this, I'm on this held frame and I was 1 frame late on my pickup advances, if that makes any sense to you. So, with that said, I'm just going to jump right in, and we'll see where we get. Everything should be set up so that I get this soonish. Eggs are never quick or anything, but... Well, thank you. Yeah, it's actually... it's a very satisfying feeling, seeing things fill up. The only annoying thing, and maybe I could have set this up a little bit differently, but... all the like regional forms that are introduced in later games, they're not going to be unchecked until like a lot later, and so those are always going to be gaps, and that might annoy me, but we'll see. We'll see what happens with that. I'm sure I can cope just fine. Good morning, Awkward. Yes, it is egg time, and boy, do I want egg time to be over. Boy, do I want to get this done. Sure would be nice. So yeah, as long as I am on point with this frame press and also getting on seat, of course, I will get this Tauros no problem, and then that just leaves Kangaskhan and the 4 Rhyhorns. And after all of that, I've saved the shiny Mewtwo RNG for the finale, and that one actually has good stats, so there's a decent weight for it too. So it's not just going to be something I knock out like that. Plus, if you were around for the normal Mewtwo catching that in a Pokeball, I'm sure this one's going to be just as difficult to catch, so it'll be interesting. I'm going to just try that again because I didn't like that at all. No use putting all that time and effort into a press you don't feel confident about. Because it takes 10 minutes to hatch an egg, so I don't want to put all that investment in if it's probably not even going to be the shiny. It is a shame that the wait is a minute every time, but that's the situation I put myself in, being super early on the held advances the first half. Kyogre only took 80 Pokeballs? That's small potatoes compared to what I've been dishing out. Granted, I have been really lucky with some. I think both Zapdos captures were very quick. Like, the normal Zapdos I caught in, like, within 15 Pokeballs, and then the shiny one, I think I caught it within, like, 3 balls. It was, like, insane luck. But yeah, the first Mewtwo I tried to catch, if memory serves, it was over 400 balls. So, not looking to repeat that experience. Hello, Shargo. I'm doing great. How are you? Excellent. We have a lonely boy on screen. Alert. Lonely boy. And I was... Well, I guess I don't know which one. These are both very close. But either way, I was not on seed. And that's the right thing, right? Yeah, that's right. Yeah, be mindful of your sun exposure. That's a pro tip for everyone watching. I don't see the sun as often as I probably should. But when I am out there, I do need to be careful. Still waking up a little bit. That might affect my accuracy with some of these presses. But I think I can make it. Hopefully. I don't know how long I'm going to be able to go today. But I would guess that I can probably finish these eggs in the next couple streams, this one included, depending on my time this week, which is exciting. Very excited to get through this part. Yeah, complexions aside, the heat is very intense. You gotta be careful. Depending on where you live, but I think that worldwide, the summer has been super hot, as we would expect with the changes in our climate as of late. It's not super surprising. I think we break records every season now, right? Like every year, every summer, like a heat record is broken somewhere. One seed late again. Unfortunato. Oh yeah, anything like south of the Carolinas, I'm sure is like you're swimming in that air. No thanks. Humidity is the real make or break. How many are we missing? We are working on Tauros. After that, we have Kangaskhan, 4 Rhyhorns, and then Mewtwo. So 7 in all. Prefer not sous videing yourself. That's a fun expression. Yeah, at that point, you know, I would just be by an actual body of water at all times. That way, if I need to, I can just take a little dip. Seems like the safest way to go about it. Yeah, it seems like the egg streams have been alternating in terms of like my success. Here, let me focus on this real quick. I've been having streams where the eggs have gone really, really well, and I haven't had much issue. And then, like, alternating in between, I've had, like, moments where I've really struggled. And mainly it's been with the Lickitung and with the Jinx / Smoochum egg. Both of those, I was just stuck on them for such a long time. And I now know that part of the reason was the wrong IVs in Pokefinder. That was a big part of it. So I don't think I'm going to have as much of an issue with the rest of them, but could be wrong. We have another lonely boy. Is this, this can't be the same seed I hit first, is it? Surely not. Oh, it is, because that's one early. Damn. Okay, well, while that is unfortunate that it wasn't on seed, I hit the same exact frame twice within 3 attempts, which is pretty interesting. The sun penetrates the surface of the water. Yeah, I guess. Still, I feel like the water doesn't choke you like the air. You think Eon Timer is lagging? Well, here, how about this? How about here, let's rectify the situation. I'm going to reset things. It could be that my audio for the Eon Timer is also a little squirrely, but let's see. Okay, back up here. Eon Timer. I have way too many of these windows. Why can't I not find this right now? Okay, Eon timer. Reset this. Okay. Let's see if that fixes it. If you're hearing two sets of beeps, that might be coming from my audio as well. That might be part of the issue. That's interesting that the web version's been more consistent. I wouldn't expect that to be the case for me, not only because I don't have the best internet. It's okay, but it's not great. And also, with me already streaming, I'm afraid that that's going to take up too much bandwidth, so I'll stick with this one. It's better? Okay, good. I guess it just needed a little reset. With all the bells and whistles, sometimes things get desynced, so part of the beauty of this whole situation I've got here. Good morning, Utah. Let me guess, you got a bunch of cooking and chores lined up, all ready to go. Oh, okay, you're playing games before chores. Amazing. Finally letting loose. That's good. Okay, where is Jolly? There. And we are on seed, I think. Yeah, I think this is it. So let's see what we have. If this is not shiny, I would guess this is probably a frame early. Probably not late. If it is late, then I should really recalibrate, but I have a good feeling about this one. Could be early. Still could be off the mark, but we will see. I'm sure Pal World is just super thrilling compared to this situation for sure. What's going on with the TCG? Is there like a big release? I think I've seen some things online about it, but I'm not like a big card person to begin with. Oh, they're making a Pal World TCG. That's interesting. That's actually pretty cool. Good for them. Nintendo's really been giving them a lot of grief, but good for them taking a stand, doing their thing. Yeah, I mean, if you've really studied some of the Palworld designs, there's at least clear inspiration from existing Pokemon designs, but I think they have every right to make their own iterations, you know? Nintendo doesn't own the concept of fighting monsters from little capsules. Or maybe they technically do own the copyright, now that I think about it, but they shouldn't. At least in my opinion. Yeah, all within their right. It's a real underdog story, I think. I don't actually know much about the Palworld development team, but obviously they're smaller than Nintendo, so... I think it would be, to be fair, difficult to have a cohesive design between all the pals when you also have to incorporate the fact that they can use guns. I think that's a variable in and of itself that makes things a little bit more complicated. Like, Pokemon has it a little bit easier because they're all, like, animal-like or more on the natural side, or sometimes they're, like, human-made objects that are... they have, like, personalities or whatever, but they don't use tools necessarily. And I think guns, that adds a certain variable in there that's harder to make cohesive across the pals. Does that make sense? I don't know if I'm making sense or not, but... only some use guns? Yeah, okay. But again, you know, that further, you know, makes my point that, like, how do you make the pals with guns fit in aesthetically with the non-gun using pals? There's going to be a clear difference in the aesthetic there. Yeah, I've never played Palworld, so I don't know a lot of the designs super well. I've just seen a bunch in passing. But some of them look pretty cool. I'll give you that. What's going on, Caddy? Welcome. We are hopefully on the verge of getting the green Tauros, the green bull. Speaking of green bulls, did anyone, has anyone been watching the Safari Week content from the past couple weeks? I just watched Absolblog's Safari video, and getting that that shiny, well, I don't know if I should spoil it. He shows it in, like, the very beginning of the video, but he does encounter a shiny Tauros, and the circumstances are pretty nuts. So I've been thinking about that with this Tauros as well. Sure, yeah, and, you know, they've made so many Pokemon, like, it's almost impossible to create a similar concept and not have some overlap with the designs. Whether that's intentional, or that's inspired, or it's just coincidence. Like, there's only so many shapes and forms a creature can take. Where are we with eggs now? I'm working on the sixth egg that we need. After I get this Tauros, then we just have Kangaskhan and 4 Rhyhorn left. So 5 more eggs after this one. And then Mewtwo for the finale. You play them as background noise. I think you know, Absol has a certain theatricality. I just like to I like to see what he does, you know. I think it's very interesting to see the directions he takes things. Yeah, Utah. I think Pal World, it's meant to not be taken too seriously. So I think that, you know, even if there is blatant copying there, it's fine. Oh, that's right. Awkward, because you are in Louisiana, yeah. So you're in his neck of the woods. Ish. I mean, you're in the same state. I don't know if that means you all live actually close to each other, but. Oh, that's true. Because he will tend to make those very long documentary. Well, I guess it's not documentary style, but it's like just his movies, the full playthroughs, everything along the way. I do enjoy those. And yeah, I feel like I lean more towards like the very long form content in general. So when he puts out like an hour or 2 hour like movie, I don't see that as a long video, or I don't see that as, like, abnormal, usually. And would you look at that? First try, technically, we have our Green Bull. Welcome, welcome. I had a good feeling about that one. All right. Fantastic. We are on track. Let's see, I've been streaming for less than 30 minutes, and we have our first shiny. That is good. Very good. Lemon Lime Bull. A lot of lime shinies we got. Kangaskhan kind of leans that way too, but not as intense. Green beef and eggs. Now that's a different direction, Utah. A little bit more morbid. Yes, we are almost there. We're just gonna keep charging on through. Okay, while I'm thinking about it, let's go ahead and tick that counter up and check off the bull. There we are. Next is Kanga, and then these 4. And then we'll be done with eggs. Can you believe that? That is very cool. Let's put you down here. Get you out of here. MVP, Abra. Our Abra collection is coming along very nicely. And I do need to figure out where exactly this goes. My reference here, it's after pincer, so I've got to put it there. Perfect. All right, and then I got to go back, get Kanga. Nope. Kanga in the house. Just plop you there for no particular reason. And let's jump right in. I'll go ahead and save, I guess. And the coffee is down, so we are ready to go full steam ahead now. You blame Pow World for your lack of breakfast. That's probably true. Your pals are taking priority. As long as they don't take priority over lunch and dinner, I think you'll be fine. It is time for Mother to start mothering. I think you're in reference to Kangaskhan. I see what you mean. It has always struck me as strange that you can hatch a Kangaskhan and immediately when it comes out of the egg, it is already with child. Don't think about that too hard, but I guess the same thing is true for Chansey too, because Chansey has its egg as well. It comes out of an egg and immediately has an egg. That is a paradox that you don't want to focus on too long. Infinite baby generator, exactly. 1, 2, 3, 4. How you doing, DJ? Okay. Let us get the situation situated here. I need to put in my IVs that I have for Kangaskhan into this. If I can see anything. Let me scroll that down. There, that's better. Because I'm definitely not going to make that same mistake again, where I put the wrong IVs, or I don't update the IVs, resulting in confusion for several minutes. I'm not going to do that ever again in the history of ever. It's just not going to happen. Kangaskhan is 100% female. I'm going to reset these IV ranges. And we're looking for a shiny. They don't seem to like each other much. Normal encounter. And if my notes are correct here, I'm looking for a shiny on frame 1449. So let's confirm first that we have that. And we sure do. And it looks like it's a pretty long wait, unfortunately. But it's a Jolly with perfect attack, so that's kind of neat. I think that's worth the wait, just to have that. And the reason I chose this option, I believe, is because... Yeah, that's correct. And the reason I chose this is if I look behind, or let's untick shiny only, and let's go to frame 1447. And there is no egg. 1446. 1446 is there, but that's a 3-frame gap before the egg. And then if I go 1450, is there a result? There is, but is that shiny? That is also shiny. So I have 2 shiny options here. Oh, this is also adamant, which is good for Kanga as well. So I have a cluster of 2 shiny frames together. So that gives me some wiggle room. And then before the 2 shiny frames, there is a 3-frame gap where there's nothing. And then after the 2 shiny frames, there's a huge gap until 1467. So I basically set it up so that if I'm on seed, I will likely not get a false positive, regardless of whether I get the first shiny frame or the second one. That will work. Excuse me, that will work for what I'm trying to do. So that is exactly what I want in terms of the setup. So I'm going to plug in my calibration for this phase, which is this, and then I'm going to plug in my target frame, which is 1449. And we're going to get going. I wish it counted for 2 awkward. Yeah, Caddy, I'm a big proponent of the Cubone being baby Kangaskhan. Even though I don't think it's, other than circumstantial evidence, I don't know if we can say definitively that's the case. Yeah, the parent bee doesn't really matter, the gender. That won't affect anything. But thank you for pointing that out anyway, because I miss things all the time, and that certainly helps. I'll go ahead and change it right now, actually. Even though, again, it doesn't really matter. No eggs. No eggs. Do we have any verified evidence of that, Shargo? That that was the original plan? Or is that just rumors? I mean it. You know, if you see something that you think is off, please tell me, because I miss things all the time. There's so many different things I have to tweak here. Well, Insects, I'm very happy to help you out with that. I'm happy to give you some company, you and your dog. Oh, I need to do that again. Just rumors, or the Mandela effect, yeah. I've always thought that's really fascinating, the Mandela effect. The one that I thought that was most surprising or striking is, or the most prominent example I can think of is, you know, the original Snow White movie that Disney released, and how the witch, she says, or it's thought that she says mirror, mirror on the wall, but she actually says magic mirror on the wall. She says something completely different. I mean, it's not completely different, but she uses a different word, but everyone thinks it's mirror, mirror. She says it twice versus magic mirror. I always thought that was interesting. All right, I think we're in a similar position to the last time with Tauros, is that I'm probably, if I'm on seed, I'm probably a little bit late on the step. But I don't want to overcorrect, because I did overcorrect with Tauros last time. Luckily, that frame that I hit was also a shiny frame that I could use, but... It is. Global psychology is very fascinating, and with AI, that's probably going to get even worse. Oh, I got a little bit off there. Yeah, with all the BS AI can generate, you know, it's going to be harder and harder to tell what exactly is true, which isn't a great trend for human society, but we must carry on, I suppose. I think everyone has, you know, different biases that can sway that. Okay, well, I got something. I guess we'll see what this is. I really, last second kind of pulled away there. What is the Shazam confusion? Are you talking about the movie that came out? I'm not familiar. All right, I don't have a lot of faith that this is gonna be what I want, but we'll see. I guess it's because I haven't seen it, so I don't really know the context. What is this gonna be? Wait, my thing is off, isn't it? Yeah, let's go back to 2000. Okay, this should be 4,500-ish. So this is 44. This seems to be the only one this could be. One seed late, which I figure is, yeah, makes sense. Okay. All right, let's, well, I don't need to do that anymore. I just need to make another egg real quick. Yeah, that's the only one it could be, really. All right, see you, Awkward. Have a good rest of your Sunday. Hopefully that is the only dud with this egg generation part, because it can really take a long time if I don't hit my seed, don't hit this initial frame. 1, 2, 3, 4. And before I jump back into this one, I do want to check momentarily if... I know I was a seed late that past time, so I can put that in here momentarily, and I can see what egg frames are close to 1549, because I likely was later. Okay, so three later. I think this actually might be a good opportunity to calibrate, because I think I was around this late with the last egg too. So I think it's time I adjust this a little bit. Maybe I'll adjust by 2 frames, perhaps. If I say I hit 1551. And then update that calibration. Oh, wait. That made it change a lot. Why is that so different? Oh, because I put in... Wait. Yeah, I put in the wrong number. Okay, hold on. Let me recopy that. Okay, so I want that in there, and then, okay, 1451. That's what I want to put in. Okay, that's better. All right. Okay, so now I think we're in a much better position. I think we're more likely to get an egg, and that egg will be on target, if I had to guess. Now I just need to be on seed. That's going to be the main issue, I think. Okay. And we'll do this little dance until we get something. Okay. If I'm on seed, this is probably what I want. Or at least one of the frames that I want. I think I might be on. It's hard to say. Are there any other results around this frame? Nope. Yeah, we're good. So now the only issue is because I've picked a spread where there's two shiny frames next to each other, I need to pick one and hope that I'm right. So I would imagine, based on how that felt with the A press, that I'm probably not on 49, but 50. If I had to guess, which means I'm probably going to use this. Oh, you can't even see that. So this, if I hit 49, then my shiny frame is either 5400 or 5411. These two. If I hit 1450, my shiny frame is 4556. And based on that A press and based on my calibration, I'm going to guess that I hit 1450 instead of 1449. So that means my new target's going to be this. And I will plug that into Eon Timer here. And I'm going to use the same calibration that I just used for Tauros. Hopefully that will carry over. If not, then it's whatever. So that's everything set up there. And yeah, so this could lead to a first try shiny theoretically. But I have to get lucky in the fact that I chose the right shiny frame. And then I have to be frame perfect. So a lot has to go right for this to be shiny first try, but there is a reality where that could be the case. If not, it's okay. I've had to calibrate at least once with every egg so far. And unfortunately, it's another pretty long wait. The eggs are fun to you. In what way? You think that just this RNG process is fun, or you think breeding is fun, or you think eggs in and of themselves are fun? I guess could be one of those or all three, I don't know. Oh, true, yeah. It is certainly, it's a surprise every time. Whether it's shiny or not, yeah. It's a shame that we have to put so much time and energy into that surprise, but yeah. Maybe that makes it a little bit more climactic. You might have a point there. I don't know if this is actually true or not, but I feel like with these Abras that I use for calibration, I overwhelmingly get male Abras, or at least that's the one I see the most often, despite it being a 50-50 gender split. And I'm assuming my target is this 76 here. Let's see, 45 plus, yeah. So I'm looking for something in the 7,600 range. And in this case, I was 1 late on the seed. Something I'm doing a lot, it seems. Generally tending to be late. And then sometimes I overcorrect, but more on the later side today. Oh, we can certainly take a look at those Abras. If you watch, you know, before every shiny hatch so far, you'll see all the details for the Abras, but I know it's not condensed. So yeah, I don't honestly know if that's like actually true, if I'm encountering more males than females, or if that's just like my perception. I too am susceptible to things like the Mandela effect and just general missing things. Mixing things up. But yeah, all those Abras are very precious to me. Perhaps more precious than the shinies that they led to. Isn't it 75-25? Is it? That would explain it, then, if that's the case, but I didn't realize that. Uh-oh. Don't do that. Uh-oh, I'm seeing conflicting accounts here. Maybe they changed the gender ratio in different generations? And we have an egg, ladies and gentlemen. We're hatching a Kangaskhan. Whether it will be brown or taupe with green accents, only time will tell. Again, don't hold your breath for the first egg here, because there are so many things that could go wrong / could be off that would prevent it from being shiny, but there is a small chance that it certainly could be. If I'm really on my game today, that would be helpful. Well, you know, it takes guts to admit that, Caddy, so I appreciate that. Okay, well, that would make sense then, why I'm seeing more males than females, because it's not a 50-50. Even though, like, I don't know if it makes sense for Abra to not be 50-50, right? Like, it has 2 gendered forms. Huh, yeah, I don't know. Just strange. Strange to think about. Hey, I mean, if you already know the gender ratios of random Pokemon, and you're confident about it, that, you know, you're already kind of like a human encyclopedia at that point. That is not a reasonable thing to know with certainty. Well, there you go. That makes sense then, why you would have that more in the front of your mind. It's truly never ending. You know, you can be an expert or someone who's very invested in Pokemon, like myself, and just not know all these little details. Takes a special kind of mind to absorb all this information, all the eccentricities, if you will. Yeah, exactly. Even the experts have more to learn or more information to try to absorb. Personally, I think there's a lot of information that is not necessary to really memorize or to absorb, and so I just reference the Bulbapedias and the Cerabes and all that. That's one of the reasons that I am so attracted to the series, though, to that point of just like, there's always more to look into. I think there's a million different ways that you can play Pokemon and a million different things you can try to do. This challenge that I'm doing in general, you know, like my own take on the living dex and the criteria I've set for it, like all of that is, you know, super subjective, and there's a bunch of other ways that you could do it, a bunch of other Pokemon you could exclude or include, and I just really like that there's so many ways of approaching it. It's very engaging. Kind of make it your own in that sense. Yeah, Toasty, I think, is a pretty good example of someone who applies his unique, like, interests and perspective on things and just, like, really dives in. I've enjoyed the past couple, like, deep dives into, like, niche topics from his videos. Like, stuff that I never thought about. You know, he makes a video on and I'm like, oh, that's really interesting. Yes, shout out to Etchy as well. Etchy, really interesting topics for his videos, and really helpful too. I think there was one video about time-based events in Gen 4 and how to circumvent, like, the reset. That's actually a very practical, useful thing if you want to, like, add species in the Heart Gold Soul Silver Safari Zone, or make the Honey Tree encounters go faster. So that one was a very practical one that I was happy about, knowing that that's possible now. But yeah, in general, there's other, like, super niche things that I never thought about. And, you know, I hope that I too can offer that obscure niche take on Pokemon. That's what I try to touch on with most of my video topics. Like, my inspiration for my videos comes from that unique side of things, hopefully. Oh yeah, that's another practical case, is getting a lot of Apper Balls. And I believe that the Pokeball you catch Pokemon in is like 50% of the whole deal. Like getting a special Pokemon, a shiny or otherwise, like that's great and all, but if you don't catch it in the right Pokeball, what are you doing? It's just all off. It's not good if you use a improper ball. So yes, farming the Apper Balls, I think, usually is a very important thing. Yeah, the Kala video was probably my first like big produced video, so most people know me by that. My vision initially was I wanted to do the challenge, getting all of them shiny in one playthrough, which was already kind of like a thing, but I also wanted to try to like make RNG manipulation a little bit more mainstream. I wanted to make it a little more palatable. So I hope I did that. I've heard from some people that they got interested in RNG after that video, which I'm really happy to hear. Oh yeah, thanks, Insects. I'm glad. I got to have a lot of fun with the Spinda video for sure. I think part of it's actually funny because Spinda being a very silly Pokemon in general allowed me to be a little bit more silly with the execution. Okay. I'm not... let's see. Yeah. No surprise there, but that's fine. There's a million different things that could have gotten in the way of that being shiny, so let's just see what's going on. All right, hold on. Let me type these in, and then I'll respond to what's going on here. Okay, I got my IV ranges. If only that one newish piece of spin information had been out back then. That one piece, like you talking about the shiny Dex entry? Use my video to teach about hex editing. That's freaking awesome. That is so cool. All right, let's type this in real quick. Okay, that's hilarious. I actually did hit the 1449. So it was not shiny because I did not have the right target in mind. So that's news to me, and I was also 2 frames late on my target there, which is also surprising. So what I'm going to do then is 2 things. I'm going to first use that to calibrate this frame here. So I'm going to say hit this. I'm going to update that. So now my calibration's a little different. And then the next thing I'm going to do is reset all these filters, figure out what my target is for the other one, and go from there. So let me reset this. All right, what was my shiny frame? 5404. Okay. Okay, and we try again. After a quick restroom break. Oh. Okay, let me adjust this. Okay. And now, I would say we have a much better chance of getting Shiny Kanga. But again, if I had to guess, I would say it's probably going to take at least one more attempt to calibrate the receiving frame, since the target's a little different. Sheesh, 90 seconds. That's quite a long wait for this phase. But I guess it won't be an issue unless I'm just off-seed a lot. That's only when it would be a problem. I mean, on the bright side, I think this music is a great backdrop while we wait. Solid track. It sure does. Despite all odds against it, I think Gen 2 really did a lot of great things. Whereas Nintendo and Game Freak could have been super safe and super... I don't know. They could have phoned it in, is what I'm saying, for the Kanto sequel, and they did not. They really stepped up. Exactly. Cherish that before the infinite bike music. Although I am noticing that the hatches are finally coming in under 10 minutes, which is really great. So that's not as much of a slog as it could be. Where is the rash? Where's the rash? There it is. Again, my target... Okay, my target's different now, so it's 8,400, which that's even higher than my max here, so let me just tighten the range a bit. Let's do 9,000. Alright. 2 seeds late, my dear Lord God. That's very late. I need to step my game up. Oh yeah, I can only imagine how great that would sound live from an actual jazz band. But that's really cool. Sounds like a great event. Imagine if I was doing Shanty. Exactly. Thank God we got that over with. Thank bejesus. Chansey is over. And we got Chansey very quickly, all things considered. Yeah, I like Barry B. Benson. I also like jazz. And that sounds like an amazing time. Welcome, Rebel. We are on Kangaskhan. We just got Tauros at the start of stream. That's true. We will not think of Chansey until we have to get a Blissey. Which I don't think is going to be awful in Heart Gold, Soul Silver. You can use that, the makeover person in the tunnel, right, in Goldenrod, to enhance friendship pretty quickly. At least I'm pretty sure that's what I've done in the past for friendship evolutions. And bingo, bingo bongo, we have an egg to hatch. My friends, my compatriots, we have an egg. Sure, the friendship berries help. I always found that harvesting the berries was very tedious though, so... Yeah, I've got options. You know what I'm not looking forward to is evolving the Smoochum I hatched a little bit ago to Jinx in this generation. That is not going to be fun, I don't think. And on that note, I actually have decided, after some feedback and after thinking about it, I actually probably will go ahead and evolve all my catches in Kanto prior to moving on to Hoenn. That way, everything in this game, or these two games, is 100% finished, and we never have to look back. So, once I catch Shiny Mewtwo, I'll put most of my time and energy into get everything leveled up and evolved. There's quite a few stone evolutions, too, that I need to get, which I probably have most of the stones I need. The only thing that I might be short on is moonstones, because I have Nidoking, Nidoqueen, Wigglytuff, there's at least one more, Clefable. So that's 4 moonstones per copy of Fire Red and Leaf Green, both for the normal and the shinies. And I don't think you get 4 moonstones just naturally through a playthrough, so I'll need to farm a couple more here and there, maybe. But otherwise, I think I have everything I need. I'll level grind with some ace trainers in the Sevi Islands, and we should be good to go. I am considering maybe trying to get a lucky egg from a Chansey, in which case I would try to RNG for it. But I don't know if that's worth the time investment. What do you all think? Should I put in a decent amount of effort into RNGing a lucky egg so that the levels will come in faster? Yeah, exactly, Caddy. There's that trainer, and then I think there's a pair of ace trainers on that same island, I believe, at a different point, that give great experience, and there's like a house right next to them that you can use to heal, so you don't have to travel back and forth. Oh, okay, so there's 5 in a typical playthrough, so as long as I got 4 out of the 5, then that's probably fine. I don't think I need... Do I need 5? I think I only need 4. You think I'll feel better about it? Sure. Okay. Getting levels is easy without it? Okay. Yeah. Fair enough. Would be nice to have, but yeah. Certainly not necessary. I just didn't know if the... Because it's probably going to be a significant time investment to try to get the lucky egg. Because I have to successfully RNG a Chansey, and then I have to successfully catch it. So I'd probably have to, like... Statistically, I'd probably have to RNG it successfully, like, 4 or 5 times before I actually catch it. So that's quite the thing. Which leads me to think that it might be best just to grind the levels as is. True, Caddy, yeah. Nothing needs to be incredibly high. The highest would be the Dratinis. I need to get one of the Dratinis, or the shiny and the normal Dratini for Dragonite up to 55, which is significant. Maybe I won't feel better about it. There's no telling how I'll feel. But I think it makes sense to go ahead and just get those taken care of. Yeah, that's the thing, Rebel, is if I'm doing everything in Kanto prior to going to Hoenn, I obviously can't use the Emerald cloning glitch. So that's one of the costs of not waiting until I've completed all of Generation 3. But again, I think that because, you know, after Gen 4 and 5, each region is going to be its own separate thing, and I can't, like, ping-pong in between. So I might as well start from the very beginning, just focusing on completing each region fully before moving on. I think that's a good precedent, because that's not going to be an option after Gen 4. Here's something that I want to run by you all, actually, because I'm still trying to decide if I'm going to make videos about this challenge. A lot of it coming from these streams, of course, and I haven't decided if the first video on this is just going to be geared towards the Kanto run, or if I should wait and make a video after I've completed Gen 3 as a whole. I'm still on the fence about that. Any thoughts? I know we haven't done Hoenn yet, so we don't know exactly what that's going to entail, but it'll likely be faster than the Kanto situation. Game by game, yeah. Yeah, you know, I do, I probably shouldn't squander the opportunity for more content. So yeah, I suppose that's what I'll do, or I was leaning that direction anyway, but when I had started this initially, I mean, obviously the counter I have at the bottom, that is for the total of Gen 3, so Kanto and Hoenn. But I could probably tweak some things in the editing bay and make it a little bit more Kanto-centric. Yeah, that's true. Every game has its own considerations. The biggest overlap, I think, would be the Gen 4 games, Heart Gold, Soul Silver, and Diamond Pearl Platinum. They all work very similarly, and I don't think there's a lot of considerations there, except Heart Gold, Soul Silver, you mainly rely on the phone or whatever that device is that you call people, and you rely on the roamer's positions on the map for confirming RNG, whereas Diamond and Pearl use the Pokédex. The Magikarp coin flip mostly, and both use Chatots as well. If you have no idea how Gen 4 RNG works, then this all must sound very strange, but yeah, very small differences, but they work very similarly. But even still, probably best to just separate them. Okay. Maybe shiny? Yeah, that's fine. I figured I'd need at least one more calibration run to get things dialed in. It is also careful, which is interesting. Well, let's see what we have here. I'm going to type this in real quick. Alright, that's probably going to be good enough. Let's see. Very high IVs overall. Look at those ranges. Five, 9, 6, 6. That's strange. Okay, hold on. Did I do something wrong here again? Oh my god. Okay. Oh, this is the wrong... Well, that's no good. Careful. Okay, hello? Why am I lost once again? Why is this happening? Alright, hold on. I'll type in the rest of the rare candies. Real quick. Let's get some more precise figures here. Hello, shiny SSB. We're doing good. Hopefully I'm not hitting a snag right now, but let's see. Perhaps I spoke too soon when I assumed I was on a certain frame earlier. That could be it. Yeah, this is careful. Okay. So, let's update these ranges a little bit. $30, $31, $22, $23, $28, $20, $21, $20, $28. It is careful. Okay. What have I done? Something has gone terribly wrong here. These are okay. These are correct. 15, 17, 30, 31, 22, 23, 20, 28, 20, 21. This might be indicating that something's wrong with the IVs, but I don't know how that could be. I could make some assumptions here again and correct for that. If I were to assume that you inherited Ditto's 21 and the 24 stat as well. And the 31. If I assumed you inherited all that, the rest can be... See if I get a result here. I do. And I get a result that makes sense. Okay, something's wrong with my IVs again. I don't know why, but luckily I was able to kind of figure out what's going on. And it appears that I was 2 frames late, which is surprising. Yeah, I was 2 frames late, even after calibrating the last time. So this is quite variable, it seems. Do these all fit in the ranges? 20, 25. Okay, that fits. What doesn't fit here? The defense stat, 5. That's supposed to be higher. Okay, whatever. Is my defense stat in my thing different? Defense stat, attack, HP, attack, defense. It's a 26, yeah. I don't know, man. I don't know why that's wrong, but the important thing is I'm pretty sure this is it. Because none of these other things make sense. I can use this to kind of deduce. Okay, so once again, I was 2 frames late, so I'll just put in the calibration for that. And now I think we're ready. I think we're actually ready to get this shiny. Doing the RNGs before releasing the roamers Sounds pretty tricky. How did you manage, Caddy? Yeah, coin flips are the most reliable thing, in my opinion, for Sinnoh. Roamers are the most reliable, excuse me, for HGSS. The Professor and Irwin calls were enough. That's good. I'm not really sure what's going to be most optimal, because I know that the starter RNG is tricky for both Sinnoh and Johto. It depends on the pathing that you take. So I don't know if I'll just do the starter RNGs through breeding alone, and I'll just get normal entries for the start of the game. But I could go either way. It doesn't matter. Breeding is so easy in Heart Gold, Soul Silver. And only slightly less easy in Sinnoh. Right, yeah, the roamers are just faster. They're faster and you can see them all at once. Well, if you say so, I'll trust you that it's not too bad. I've never done it, so I just don't know, but I do know that it requires specific pathing. And right off the bat, we have another candidate here. Please, 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 don't be one early. Because I think... I'm not going to jinx it, but we'll just see what happens. $10 seconds over hundreds of mons does add up, you're correct. I see what you're saying, Shargo. You're telling me calls are actually useful, is what you're telling me. Despite my, my past avoidance of using calls. Yeah, now that I'm thinking about it, I will 100% want/need chatbots for my advances. Even though calls can do it, I mean, that's so much slower. And also, it's, well, I guess you can still identify what frame it is by the reply you get for the call. But all that to say, I'm going to be doing Johto first. I'm going to do Heart Gold, Soul Silver first when I start Gen 4. And I therefore will not have chatbots. So I'm thinking there's a way to get them in Heart Gold, Soul Silver, right? Like if I use the Sinnoh sound on the radio, like that's I can catch them in those games. Am I correct on that? Because if that's the case, then I can be still very true to the pattern and not borrow from Sinnoh until I finish with Johto. Yeah, so Rebel, the way that it's probably going to work is I'm going to have a full playthrough of Heart Gold and a full playthrough of Soul Silver. One playthrough, it's going to have all the regular Pokemon non-shiny, and one playthrough is going to have all the shinies. Similar to what I did with Fire Red and Leaf Green, with some exceptions for the harder Pokemon to get. And because of that, I'm going to have at least one game that makes it all the way through with all the resources. So if chatbots are possible, then I can trade them over to the other version and just use those for the RNGs. Okay, great. Yeah. They're in the towers. The same towers that you can find Spinda in. Interesting. That's a pretty high false positive rate, Rebel. I mean, that's definitely happened to me. I've definitely gotten false positives before, but the chatbots always reveal for sure where you are. So I guess that's why I've never really bothered with the calls, is because, like, even if you're getting a false positive with the roamer locations, the chatbot, then you'll know pretty quickly if you're on the right seed or not. Oh, good point, Rebel. Yeah, I should probably... I need to remember that. So I definitely don't want to spend extra time leveling up Chatot just for chatter. Any particular reason why the radar chaining is bad in X and Y? I personally never even used the radar in those games. I've used the radar a ton in Sinnoh, in Diamond, Pearl, Platinum, but never in XY. It's easier to break the chain in Gen 6 than Gen 4. I'm pretty sure in Gen 4 the max odds are 40 plus as well, right? That's not different. Yeah, I don't blame you for having a negative view of Gen 6 RNG. Regardless of how any of us feel about it, I'm going to have to get decent enough at it. And I'm certainly going to need to be good at egg RNG because, well, what do I need eggs for? Probably the starters and a handful of things. I guess I don't need to do egg RNG for everything, but it would certainly help for things like the scatterbug line in each pattern. On the contrary, I really enjoyed Gen 4 radar chaining. Sometimes you would just get screwed, but I liked it. That's a shame. I had a feeling I'm gonna guess I'm 1 frame early here. And, yeah. This is naughty. Okay, hold on. Let me just, I'm going to reset all these filters. I'm just gonna see if there's a naughty spread that is 1 frame early. And if it is, that's gonna confirm it for me. Because, yeah, I'm pretty sure I just was a little bit early on that A press. Okay, you can't see that. Let me pull that up. Okay, naughty. And we're starting from 1449, please. Okay, and then we got to go all the way up to 5403. And look at that. There is a naughty at 5403. So I was 1 frame early. Oh, God. Okay. But that is, you know, at least we know what's going on. At least we know. Okay, so part of it is just the extra time in between. That makes sense. Yeah, that certainly does help. Not too many native Kalos mons. It is it's a smaller Pokédex, is it not? But the forms will trip me up, for sure. Yeah, obviously I need to play through X or Y each time for each Vivian form. Which is one thing that's going to be super, super fun. Let me go to the Kalos decks real quick. X and Y. Okay, so you have the starters, you've got Bunnelby, Fletchling, Scatterbug. A lot of non-Kalos Pokemon actually in here. The Litleo, Florges, that's another wonderful Pokemon family with a lot of forms. The Skidoos, Pancham. Yeah, a lot of non-Kalos Pokemon actually in this game. Alright, I felt better about that press. If I was on seed, this is for sure a shiny. I'm gonna call it. No doubt about it. Only 72? That is great news. I will, here, hold on. So yeah, I'm picking up, okay, yeah, there's actually not a ton of native Kalos Pokemon, which is good, but let me reference the sheet again and see exactly how many entries we have here. I'll probably open it up once I confirm this. Is this emulated? It is not huge power. I am using a DS capture card on original hardware. This is all cartridge. All right, let's see what this is. Please be on seed because, or please be on, yeah, please be on seed because I think this is it. I feel it in my soul. That this is it. If I'm on seed, this is the shiny egg. I'm calling it now. And if I'm wrong, that's not possible. Ah, but I was one seed early. Damn it. So it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter at all. It was all for naught. Alright, once I get an egg online, we'll go through this checklist here, just to illustrate how many Kalos entries there are despite the small Pokédex, or the lower native rate, however you want to call it. I mean, I guess we got a minute here. We can go ahead and take a look. I gotta get all the way down here. Okay. So this is the Kalos portion of my spreadsheet here. As you can see, starters are pretty good. You do have the extra Ash Greninja here, but that is shiny locked and only for the Sun and Moon demo, so that does not apply to the Kalos playthrough. Then you have these 5 Pokemon here, and then you start with the Scatterbugs, and you got all those. Then the Pyroar, and then you have the Flabébés. All those. Then you have a few here, and then you have all the Furfuro trims. And then you have, okay, now we have some normal Pokemon. You got the Hisuian forms of the Sliggoo. Then you got the Pumpkaboo forms, which adds a handful, and then there. So actually it's quite small, but with all those forms, it really adds up. So yeah, 90 extra mons. That's probably what it is. Yeah, Shargo, for the extra consoles. Oh, my page reset for some reason. For the extra consoles, I certainly wish I could install 2 additional capture cards and 2 additional consoles, but not only is that super expensive, but I think that's a little tedious. So I think instead I'll homebrew my 3DS that I have the capture card in, and I will then I will just go from there. Change the region as needed. Yes, Shargo. The pre-evolutions for Scatterbug also count. I think I've explained the rationale before, but essentially they count as different forms because they evolve into different things, and that cannot change. Like, they have set evolutions that are different, which makes them distinct. I was 1 seed late again, or I was 1 seed late again isn't the right word, but you know what I mean. But yeah, it's the same deal with Own Tempo Rockruff. Own Tempo Rockruff cannot be changed into another Rockruff with an ability patch or the other item that changes abilities, ability capsule. It is completely tied to that Pokemon, and it has a separate evolution, so it is considered a separate form. And so the same logic applies to all the Scatterbugs. They cannot be changed. Alcremie, same thing. Or the Alcremie evolutions. The Milcery evolutions. You know what I'm trying to say. At least Alcremie, which I'm about to start, is only female. No need to reset your game every time. Like, are you saying that, like, because if it had multiple genders, that could affect the forms? Alcremie will mentally break me? I don't know. I think we have some options when it comes to getting a ton of shiny Milcery. Yeah, there's Overworld RNG. And I think, you know, if we play around with some of the limited time raid events, that will also come in handy too. So we'll cross that bridge when we get to it, but Alcremie certainly isn't as bad as most of the Gen 6 Pokemon. Get ready to spin, yeah. There will be a lot of spinning, that's unavoidable. I do have quite a few raid events saved, backed up. My initial point about not hacking is true, that I'm not hacking the majority of the time, but I'm also not above implanting some raid events when needed. That is also not something I'm against. But I do have a lot of files that contain those raid events already. No shenanigans involved. All right. We've got another one. I feel better about this one. I don't think I'm early. I could be late, actually, but fingers crossed that's not the situation. Yeah, but the Vivillon, having to do so many different playthroughs, that's going to make it the most tedious of all, of course. Exactly, Caddy. That's kind of my mentality, is that I'm already recreating certain limited time events for the mythicals. And while it's not necessary for things like Milcery and all the other Pokemon, I just think it enhances the experience. Plus, I mean, I was technically around for all these events, but I had the Milcery raid events, both of them downloaded at one point on my main file. So, I mean, it's not that big of a deal. Just, like, put them back in there. Yeah, Project Pokemon has most of those, where you can just download them, pop them in there. But I also have my own personal backups, especially for one that's actually, like, necessary and important is the Gimme Ghoul raid event in Scarlet and Violet. I have my own personal backup of that one, because that one is required for me to get the shiny Gimme Ghoul and Golden Go from Paldea. That's the only way to get it. So I have that stored away, ready to put that back in when I need to. Same with I have the raid events for the Iron Leaves and Walking Wake as well. Yeah, the mod chip is a whole thing. I have actually two Nintendo Switches that are the original versions, the older versions where they are actually moddable without putting in a chip. So I was fortunate enough to have that capability without jumping all through all the hoops and stuff. Yeah, I'm not entirely sure what I'm going to do with Gimme Ghoul. It is a 1 in 4096 hunt in a raid, and it's also incredibly difficult to see. So it may just be like the longest hunt ever, which I don't really care about. If some of these get drawn out, that's fine. What I'm mostly concerned about in terms of efficiency is getting up to the Switch Pokemon games first before Bank has any issues. Then I can take my time. I don't really care if it takes forever to find these Pokemon. Yeah, the RCM or the... I don't even know what the thingy's called, but yeah. Oh, you got a flawless one? Did you use the Switch RNG tool for that, Shargo, or was there just someone hosting a raid with a flawless shiny Gimme Ghoul? I am going to do Gimme Ghoul twice. It's a sobering thought, isn't it? Someone was hosting a raid, yeah. Well, the thing with that, you know, Shargo, is that if they redo the event, if they modify the shiny rate, then I'll save that rate event over the previous one. But like if I were to do a shiny raid hosted by Discord, that's basically the same thing as me using the Switch RNG tool to set up a shiny raid myself with the custom firmware. And I prefer not to do that. The spirit of the challenge is, while I'm using RNG manipulation, I'm not modifying the game, or I'm not prying into the game excessively. So I think if I really want to be strict about it, or consistent all the way through, I either need to full odds with no RNG hunt the Gimme Ghoul via raids, or I need to... I guess that's the only option, really. Otherwise, I'd be crossing a bit of a line there, but I mean, honestly, you know, since I have to do 2 of them, let's say the first one goes on for like an incredibly long time and I just get sick of it, then I might cut a corner there. That's perhaps justified, but yeah, that's my thinking going in. Yeah, exactly. You know, if it's a seed bot or someone's hosting something, like they hacked to get that information or get that Pokemon set up. So even though you didn't hack, technically, you're benefiting from someone else's hacking. So I still think that crosses a line for the purposes of this challenge. But again, you know, it's going to be a hell of a hunt, and I may just get to the point where I am so sick of it that I'm like, no, let's just go ahead and use custom firmware to find the shiny raid instead and just go with it. And the only reason I'm put in that position is because Game Freak made a terrible decision by locking the shiny to that one raid event at full odds. Like, that is the fact that it wasn't boosted is actually insane. Like, why would they do such a thing? I will never understand that. Yes, you can't do Outbreak RNG without custom firmware or seed bots as well. That's true. But you can still do RNG with normal spawns. Which I also think can be fun. Although you do have to jump through some extra hoops. You have to transfer Pokemon to BDSP every time. So that's not fun. Mainly because you have to play BDSP. But it's still, you know, it is what it is. Yeah, the shiny Zeraora is unfortunate. Being home gated and also limited time. Galar birds are a little bit easier because they were distributed in Sword and Shield, so a little bit easier to recreate that event. Sounds like you were sabotaged quite a few times, Shargo, with your raid pursuits. I mean, yeah, CJ, I could take that same approach, and in some events that are no longer accessible, I could just be like, yeah, I mean, treat them as not part of the decks. But most of them I can recreate, and I do have my own shiny Zeraora from when it was actually released, which I will most likely incorporate in this challenge, since there is really no other way to recreate that. Okay, was I late, or was I on frame? Hey, I was not late. Thank goodness. My taupe, slightly green Kangaskhan, welcome. And I'm really happy with this one because this one is jolly with perfect attack. So that's pretty damn awesome. Doesn't have perfect speed, unfortunately, but that is such a great one to have. And with that, we are now only a mere 5. Well, no, we have 4 shiny eggs left. Only 4. It's very exciting. Four more eggs, and they are all Rhyhorn. They are all male and female Rhyhorns for the gender difference. Yes, Data Zarude is a unique home entry and does count. Yeah, there's way too many idiots out there. I feel you, Shargo. All right, first, all hail Abra. Praise be. Thank you for your service. You get out of my face. You can go here. And you will have a place of honor. Is that too traumatic? Maybe, but... Okay, yeah, this reset for some reason, but let's go back down. Kanga, you are mine. And you come after this one right here. Very nice. Yeah, Dynamax Adventures, that's also going to be a fun time. So many fun times ahead of us, isn't there? But if they're on the Switch, that's fine. They can take a million years for all I care. I just need to get to the Switch to ensure that my precious Pokemon are not cut off via the transfer pathway. Oh, that's a shame, Rebel. I had a similar experience with the Dada Zarude Shiny Celebi event. I remember I actually got like 6 different codes for those events, so I would have had 6 of each, and I forgot to redeem them in time, and so they all expired. So I didn't get the Dada Zarude or the Shiny Celebi event at all, and I was super bummed about that. And probably... in response, I then went on to hoard a ton of redeems for the Shiny Zamazenta, Shiny Zacian, and I got like 10 of each. So I have a bunch of those. Just not Dada Zarude. 1, 2, 3, 4. Why are there 5 empty slots, Shargo? You have a keen eye. There are 5 empty slots because I'm pretty sure I just laid them out wrong in the box. And I will fix that shortly. But let's first... that's, you know, small potatoes. We don't need to focus on that right now. Let's focus instead on getting things set up for this first Rhyhorn. One of the great things about Rhyhorn is that it's a 50-50 gender ratio, meaning I can already kind of tell which egg frame I've hit by the gender, or that's one way of confirming, which is convenient. So, my target Rhyhorn is 1467. So let's look at that real quick. So 1467, this is going to be my first Rhyhorn. It's going to be a female. Or wait, what? That should be... Oh, wait, no, the 50-50. Yeah, it's going to be male. Yes, correct. That's following on here. So, and this one should be good because this one has a pretty fast pickup frame, as long as I hit it. As we learned from the previous RNG, there is nothing... really nothing before the 1467, so that's a pretty large gap. And then if I look at options that are past, you know, let's say 1468, I don't get a result to 1473. So this is one isolated shiny frame, so I'm pretty confident that when I get an egg and I'm on seed, I will not get any false positives. I'm going to be right on the money. So let's set this up again, 1467. All right, so 1467 is the frame target. And the frame... Well, actually, that's come later. Ugh. My brain is melting. Okay. let's just go ahead and give it a try. Oh, that's a shame, Shargo. Yeah, the struggle is real to get enough of those codes, especially when they're gated by game store distributions like GameStop. Yeah, the Koraidon events, they were just... the supply was too limited. I never got a physical card. I had to trade online for them. Yeah, that was the other issue, is the TCG people would take them all up and resell them. Because you know how bad scalping is with Pokemon cards, so that overlap was terrible too. So unless I'm right on the money, I will not get an egg, so we're probably going to see a lot of duds here, which is fine. Because ultimately, when I do get my egg, I can be very confident that what I have is the right one. Oh, I didn't even realize the UK didn't get them. That's a shame. Yeah, the fact that you got multiple codes is crazy, Rebel. Even going to multiple locations, you were probably pretty lucky there. If I don't get an egg this next time, I do probably need to adjust the calibration again. Is this the one I had saved previously? Yeah. The one advantage of having children is you get to have multiple entries there. That's good. Exactly, Shargo. There was nothing stopping them from just having it be an internet code. Yeah, people would have created multiple saves and redeemed multiple, but they did that for the Ruin, whatever those are called. Treasures of Ruin. Alright, I'm going to adjust this just a little bit to... I'm going to say I hit 1469. Go from there. No way, they age-gated your 5-year-old? He's not conscious enough to enjoy a shiny legendary distribution. He couldn't possibly appreciate such a thing at such a young age. We might be here a second. Yeah, this is not GameStop's heyday, so the fact that they were the primary distributors doesn't make a lot of sense from an accessibility standpoint. Oh. Exactly, Caddy. There were many reasons why it was not feasible for most people to get a card, let alone people that have accessibility concerns as well. Well, there are quite a few, you know, exclusive events that are not hosted in America. Japan having probably the most of them. But yeah, sometimes it's just the distribution varies depending on where you are. Oh boy. We are in for it. Can you imagine this day and age? We are announcing our latest event will be distributed on a piece of cardboard in Toys R Us stores, limited to 20 per store. Good luck. Right, yeah. They didn't even have enough cards. Some were just receipts on, or codes on receipts, which they still said, oh, well, we don't have enough, even though they could print the codes on the receipts. But they were still limited. That is the BS. Creating that false scarcity. Oh my god. I'm gonna be shooting in the dark here, probably for a little bit. Yeah, I have, I mean, I'm sure if you've ever been to a Toys R Us, you probably have positive memories overall. I never went for a Pokemon event, but those in-store events were probably pretty cool. Yeah, Shargo. Those events where you could over Wi-Fi download them in store, the distribution carts. I was all about those, and they did it in Gen 4 too. I actually participated in some of those. Although I wasn't super active in Gen 5's heyday, so I didn't get any in Gen 5. One single decision that makes sense, yeah. Impossible. Oh, congratulations, WTD, on finding that gem. I'm pretty sure most of my events from back in the day are long gone in the void. Oh, that's a fun memory, Caddy. I never used the underground feature with other people, other than my brother, who had Pearl, I had Diamond. Oh! We have an egg. We have an egg, people. So if we are on seed, I am almost 100% sure this is my egg. If we are on seed. So fingers crossed. If this is not our seed, we can at least use this to kind of gauge where I'm hovering around. I'm a lonely boy. And my ranges, of course, are all off because I changed them earlier. Damn it all to hell. I was not on seed, but what is this likely? Because I can maybe use this. So I'm looking at about 4,500 again, 4,400. This is probably it. One seed late is probably the one I hit, because this one... Yeah, this is the one I hit, so I was one seed late. So I can now use this information to figure out approximately what frame I hit, and then hopefully be a little bit more precise with everything. So why am I on this? I don't need to be on this, actually. I need to be on... Let's go back to this page. If I copy this and I plug it into this and I take that away, wait, what's going on? Oh wait, yeah, that's right. So 1450. Okay, hold on. What am I doing here? 1460? 1464. 65. 1466. Okay. 1467. Okay, I know what I hit. I hit one early. 1466, and I feel like that was even like a later press. So I think I'm going to calibrate even more. So if I hit a late press and that was 1466, I'm going to go by two more. I'm going to say... Wait, hold on. No, I was early. Right? Yeah. 66, 65, 67. Oh, okay. Maybe I shouldn't have calibrated then. Yeah, I guess I'll recalibrate that. 1465, we'll say. And we'll just reset that calibration. Okay. I know that was a bunch of hoopla, but that was actually helpful. But now I also have to create the egg again, unfortunately. But we learned something. We obtained useful information. I absolutely agree that at least the majority of distribution should be online internet codes for accessibility reasons and also not creating that false scarcity. Yeah, exactly. I think IRL events are still really cool and worth including, but not using them as the only way to get certain Pokemon, certain shinies, certain forms. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, when the events used to actually include additional gameplay, that was something, wasn't it? But now, you know, they kind of achieve that through DLC, right? What used to be event exclusive is now just DLC content. Yeah, and Gen 3 and Gen 4 handled it in the sense that that content was already in the game card and the events would unlock it. Which makes sense. It begs the question then why that content in the game was event locked to begin with if it was already in the game. But I digress. If the completing the Fire Red, Leaf Green Switch version, if that rewards a shiny Mew, then that will be my that would be my Mew entry for the Dex. I would probably choose that over the old C map shiny Mew, which can only be Japanese legitimately. And here we go again, playing this game. Yes, the OT would be home, but I can't have my own OT on Shiny Mew anyway from Emerald. Is there even enough space on the Japanese naming thing for my name? Maybe actually, but it's a thing. You make a compromise either way, because if you do the Faraway Island Mew, then it's Japanese. It's not English, which everything else will be English in the challenge. Oh, damn it. Whew. Yeah, so my Mews are technically going to have a different OT. So I make that compromise in the OT and the language, which I would not have to do in for the home Mew. It would at least be English. So I don't know. Exactly, CJ. That's probably the best I could do. Or I could put Wally in there, even though I don't usually go by Wally. I could put that in as well. That is more Hoenn appropriate, is it not? Yeah, I could do that too. Since it's not going to match everything else, I guess it doesn't really matter what I use for it. You can essentially treat it as like any other event Pokemon, where the OT is fixed. Exactly, Rebel. Okay. Please don't be the same one seed late egg that I got earlier. Yeah, Shargo, I feel you. I also don't want to cough up all that money for DLC that I don't necessarily really care about. All for shiny Volcanion. Just one Pokemon for all that money, basically. Damn it. I was one seed early? Okay, well, let's use this information then to further check things. $71 is an option. 66 also an option for you? No? 65. 65, okay. So did I hit 2 frames early there? I probably did. Damn it, I keep going back and forth. So, based on my calibration before, Shoot. Okay, hold on. 66. What's the next one? 71. Was I really 3 frames later? No, probably not. Probably wasn't 3 frames later. So I think it's safer to say that I was 2 frames early. So maybe I'll calibrate. Say I hit 1466. Say I was 1 more later. Or 1 more earlier. And fingers crossed that I'm right. Otherwise, we're just going to keep doing this over and over again. True, same money for Shiny Arceus, except I at least own Brilliant Diamond already and Legends Arceus. So it's not additional expense. Turbo Simulator, yeah. One of these days, I'm gonna get a Switch 2, and I'm gonna get ZA, and I'm gonna do something with it. Since it has alphas, I'll probably do something related to that. Like an all-shiny alpha quest or something. I'm pretty sure that's already been done, too, especially with the DLC. It's so... I'm not gonna say easy, but it's very feasible to get everything shiny and everything shiny alpha as well. Yeah, that's what I've heard, is just getting the right donuts can be tricky. I see. So there's a lot of grindy elements to the process. But at least the shiny rates and the alpha rates are pretty high because of all the bonuses. Oh. Rebel feels very strongly about this this Rotom portal. I'm sure there will be aspects that I enjoy and aspects that I don't. Unfortunately, I'm kind of viewing it right now as a gauntlet to get through for AZ's Floette and Shiny Volcanion. But we'll see. We'll see how my experience is. Really, the worst grind in all of the games? That says something, I believe. Well, if I ever take on such a thing, sounds like it's something to look forward to. This egg is really holding out on me, isn't it? My original calibration is actually like almost, well, it's a little bit different, but I should be in the same general vicinity of this egg. Again, I don't really know if I'm on seed in any given attempt, so that makes it even more tricky, but... Oh yeah, I'm sure if you grinded out those fossils before the DLC, that undercuts it a little bit. I'm happy that the fossil revival is not the only way, because imagine that being the only way to get the Shalfas. Imagine. That would just be absolutely insane. Especially for someone like me who would want a Shalfa living dex, getting 4 Shalfa fossils through those redemptions. When it's like a 1 in 100 alpha rate, and then a 1 in 1,000 shiny rate, lowest it can be. But yeah, I feel your pain. I understand. 1 in 400,000. Ah, a little bit different. That being said, I actually did see quite a few people get Shalfas from their fossil redemptions when the game came out. I saw quite a few posts on that. Some of it could have been BS, but I mean, statistically, I guess it makes sense. Out of a giant player base, you'd have a handful of people. Okay, we are struggling, aren't we? I just can't get a sense for where the egg is. Is it a little bit earlier? Is it a little bit later? If I knew for sure, I'd be good. I think, okay, let's think about this for a second. In my original calibration, I was 1 frame early with the original calibration. So I should be calibrated correctly. All right, I'm going to think about this real quick. Okay, 1391.33. All right, if I put in my original thing, and when my original calibration was 13.7457, and I hit 14.66 on a semi-late press, then I'm going to say that I was just 1 early. Let's say 14.66. And there, that's the same one. Yeah, so this is the calibration I need. Maybe I should just press it a little bit later. Press on, lean on the later side of things is maybe what I should do. And go from there. Alright, so I just need to... If I'm on seed, I just need to not jump the gun here and rest a little bit later. And hopefully that will lead to an egg. Specifically the egg I want. Please. Please, please, please. Okay, we're just going to be here forever, okay? That's great. We're just going to be here forever. So my arm just got super itchy all of a sudden. Why is it so itchy? Yeah, from what I've seen, Caddy, the models look great. That is true. You could just migrate older Pokemon in to see that. But I get what you're saying. Oh yeah, I'm sure you have quite a few of the Pidgeys and Diggersbys and whatnot. It's a good way of putting it. Kalos sucked the life out of some of those shinies. True, CJ, yeah. They become trapped if you migrate. Oh, you went for a living dex and couldn't fit it? That's a shame. Damn, my arm is itchy. Why is that happening right now? That would bug the hell out of me if I could only fit one unknown and not have all the others. Oh, that must have been cool. The macro farming things and you get the Shelfa. Well, I'm sure that when Gen 10 comes out and other future games, that those will be compatible with ZA transfers. So it's just a cutoff from all the previous games. Lord, have mercy. Okay. This is probably the longest I've had to spend on this step. And if I don't get negs soon, I'm gonna have to really start to use my thinking cap here. It is possible that I've not been on seed super consistently, which is one reason why I'm not getting eggs. That is a possibility. But I'm at least getting it some of the time. Surely. Good lord. That is also a shame for Gen 7. It is interesting, yeah, CJ, that they usually, when they're depicting unknown, it's the F unknown that gets highlighted. I wonder why. In all of the guides and depictions, it's usually the F. Okay. We finally have an egg. And if this is not my target, then I guess that's fine. Still be able to hopefully narrow things down. I swear if this is 1 seed late, 1 frame early, I'm gonna be mad. Okay, not on seed. Fantastic, but what is this? Again, I'm looking for 4,500-ish? 4,400? 1 seed late again. Okay. Alright, I feel like I'm going in circles here. But yeah, this is the only one it could be. If I go back again to Pokefinder, then put that in. 66. It's got to be this, right? 65, 64. Oh, 64 is also an option. Could I be that early? Is the question. 64. 63. Okay. So I guess I could be hitting 64 here. All right. And then after 67, what are the options here? 83. So I wasn't late. So I know for sure I was early. 100% I was early. But by how much is the actual question. Was I 1 frame early? Or was I... Geez, 3 frames early? Let's say I was 3 frames early. And go from there. And if that's the case, I was a little bit early on the button press. So let's say I was too early. Okay. And then I gotta do it again. But then, hopefully we're close. You think your favorite unknown is what, Caddy? Are you asking me? I agree. The fact that question mark and exclamation point are like their eyes are half open gives them a certain vibe, you know? Not to be taken as seriously. Yeah, I feel that. Okay, fingers crossed I finally get this frickin' egg, dude. I don't know how much time I've spent on this step in particular, but it's taken a long time. Once I get this locked in, it's going to be just fine getting this Rhyhorn. Sure, I may be off by a frame or two per attempt, but it'll be just fine. Exactly, only 3 more times. Every spread's going to be a little different, though. And theoretically... Damn it. Theoretically, whatever calibration I end up settling with for this one will apply to the other 3 too. So that should smooth it out just a bit. I think because I haven't updated my calibration in a while for this step, things are just a little bit out of sync. And because I'm trying to hit a needle in a haystack, basically, it's very hard to know if I'm on the mark or not. What's going to be ideal or not. All right. I feel pretty good about this one. That button press was on point. The only thing is, if I'm off seed and my calibration's off, then that would be the issue, but fingers crossed I finally have this thing. It's certainly been a long time coming. Yeah, so the, those other monitors, that's, actually my wife's work-from-home setup. She had to move it, we had to move some things around our house, and so she's parked now back there. It's only one computer, but it's, 2 additional monitors to go with the one computer. So, yeah, it's a lot of screens. And then I personally have... Oh my freaking god, Okay, I was one seed early, but I feel good about this hit, so we can use this to calibrate. Okay. Oh, dear Jesus. All right. Let's go back to this real quick. All right. 1465 is an option. Just to be extra sure. 63. 62. Okay, 66. 71. Okay, hold on. All right, so I've been pushing this later and later, right? So if my original target, 4 frames off. This is a mess. 65. Do I want to say it's even earlier? Because if I do that, or is it likely that I've overcompensated and it's 71? Okay, what if... I'm going to try 2 scenarios here. What if I go with this being... Let's say this is 65, like 2 more frames early. If I assume that, then that would be actually very different. Here, let's save that for now. If I say 1465 and I update, that is quite a bit different from the original. But if I instead put that back and I say I actually hit 1471, right? Then that is close to my original calibration, but it's not quite the same. God. I don't know which one is more likely. I think I'm just going to save both and then try both and see what happens. What a mess, dude. Okay. So yeah, I have the later one saved. Wait, hold on. Yeah, save this. And if that is then put back in here, and I say I hit 1465. Yeah, so those are very dramatic shifts in the calibration. I don't know. I just don't think it would be that much different. So let's try this. Yeah, you'd be amazed what a single laptop and multiple monitors can do. I did that for a long time. I had an old gaming laptop that I inherited from my brother, and that was my primary source of like doing everything, editing and stuff. I made the Kahlo video on a laptop, and I pushed that thing to the limit. That's for sure. Four PCs. That's quite a few. Oh wait, what am I doing? I'm losing it. You guys, I'm losing it. The light is fading. Yeah, it's very satisfying to build everything up. Getting a dedicated desktop PC was probably the biggest improvement for me. But I also, I splurged on some screenage. I have two pretty sizable monitors, dual screening, so I can fit just about everything I need in one place. Yeah, basically. $8 for a Pokemon emulator. Yeah. Having access to Photoshop, I mean, personally, I do not like using the Adobe products because of the subscription model. So when I can, I use free alternatives, and I also use DaVinci Resolve for my video editing, which has a free version. Yeah, I'm sure your MacBook runs pretty hot. Yeah, that's the best way to go about it, is getting the Adobe subscription from your work, if they offer it. Hmm. There you go, Caddy. So that's the most viable option, it sounds like. Yeah, I don't give anyone flack for using Adobe or anything. I personally don't like it. Have I made a mistake here? Have I? I got myself into some issues. What was my calibration when I started all this? Because it should be pretty close, right? I don't know. I too run hot and struggle to shut off. You do give people flack for using it. You do you. Okay, all right. We have an egg. I don't know why I'm speaking in that accent, but maybe it's because I'm just super excited to see something. Yeah, I understand. Sitting too much puts more strain on the back than laying down. All right, please, 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 be on seed. For the love of God. Yeah, when I'm desperate, I just kind of... I drop into Borat. My fight or flight is speaking in a Borat accent. That's what actually happens organically. Boom! Okay, we're on seed. And my calibration could be way off. Okay, so hold on. Just to confirm something, we're going to go back to this. So I'm on seed, and what is the earliest? Okay. I'm on, this is correct. This has to be correct, because if I was any earlier than 1467, here, if you look at my thing, if I was any earlier than my target frame, it would have to have been 17 frames earlier, which is not a thing. So I am on target here, 100%. You're not going to convince me otherwise. So that's good. That's good that I settled that. And now, let's finally get this Rhyhorn. I'll at least give it one solid try before I end today. Okay, so hold on. Go back to this. So my target now is going to be 1601. And I believe that because it's a lower target, my original calibration is probably going to be the best for it. So let's do that. And let's see what happens. Oh yeah, you definitely feel the difference being particularly active or mobile in your job on a day-to-day to then not. I stay moving for the most part. The most sedentary I am is actually for this kind of stuff, streaming and video editing, and I don't get to do a ton of that, so... And thank God these resets are going to be quick, because my target's much closer now. So that's very nice. Yeah. To a certain extent, I think we all have limitations we need to account for. Just some of us don't pay attention enough or don't give our body enough love. push things too far or don't get enough mobility, all that stuff. I don't know, Rebel, if you were ever a part of some of these conversations about America, but we don't have a very many walkable spaces. And so in that sense, we're a lot more sedentary than other places around the world in general. So yeah, if you don't have a job or an occupation that involves a lot of movement, then you are kind of just like in a tough spot. You have to make the time instead. All right, this is a potential one. Oh, hello, gorgeous tiger. You're just in time to see me rip this shiny Rhyhorn first try, as a matter of fact. Sure, yeah. Everybody has their limitations, and you, of course, just need to be extra mindful of yours. Huge if true. Absolutely. Yeah, I actually don't know if I'm going to be on point with this one because my calibration changes so much, but we'll see. First try, I can't confirm. All right, all right. At least I'm not the only overconfident, delusional person here. Oh yeah, that's a very big difference. Really, most healthcare workers are constantly moving. So you go from that to home-based, yeah, you're going to feel that difference regardless. Even if you try to get activity in other ways, yeah, you're going to feel that. Being a paramedic is intense. I don't know if I could handle that fast-paced action there. Definitely more of a slow-paced kind of person. I'm sure your day-to-day was very interesting, though. You probably weren't bored a lot. Unless you had, like, slow days where there wasn't a lot going on. Yeah, archives don't sound the most urgent, but if I'm thinking of it in the sense of like, you know, like if you were to work in like a library type setting, then yeah, you actually probably would be moving a lot, like putting in resources in their proper place, constantly cycling in returns and checkouts and stuff. Like, I don't know if it's quite like that in your setting, but that type of situation, I would imagine, yeah, you'd be moving around a little bit. Yeah, those nursing paychecks are really enticing. I feel you. You can make some good money as a nurse. I think I saw somewhere that if you are in a pretty sedentary position, that ideally you would stand up and stretch at least once every half hour to compensate for that. I don't know if that's fully true or not, but sounds about right. Just making sure that you move around within that time. Otherwise, you get stiff. And, yeah, my back is definitely stiff at present, but also generally. It is usually stiff. But I do try to stretch when I can. Oh, that's a good point, Caddy, with the eye strain. I don't pay attention to that one too much. I do feel it. I do get eye strain a lot, but what's the remedy for that? Do you just kind of like look away from your screens for a little bit, or just kind of like close them for a bit? Rebel, you mean to say that we didn't evolve in an environment that required us to sit for hours at a time without moving and staring at electrically powered screens? Those weren't the conditions of our evolution? Right, yeah. Easy to give advice, hard to follow it. Dear God. Can you imagine doing everything again, but just with a different ball? I mean, technically, I wouldn't have to do that, because the static Pokemon, the breeding Pokemon, and that's about it. The Pokemon that need to be bred or that need to be received as gifts, those can't be caught in Great and Ultra Ball, so thank God for that. I would at least avoid some retreading there. Really? Huh. Well, that sounds promising. I don't know if I get headaches a lot from eye strain. I certainly get headaches sometimes, but I haven't tied it to excessively staring at a screen. Master Ball only, no cloning glitch? Are you... I mean, I'm insane, but I'm not that insane. Can you imagine? That rule applied to a challenge like this, that would involve, like, eliminating the static gifts and the breeding. That would still involve, like, 320 playthroughs of the game, at least. It would be pretty badass to have a fully Master Ball dex, though, I will say. If I was ever to do such a thing, like with different balls, all Master Balls would go hard. But it would be from cloning, not from playing the game 300 times. Definitely not. Or I suppose I could, you could RNG the lottery in Ruby and Sapphire to get Master Balls. That actually would be more viable, probably. Definitely faster than playing through the game again. Yeah, I would have chosen Premier Balls for the shinies, especially if there weren't so many that have to be in a Pokeball. Again, the gifts and the eggs, to name a few. And in a general sense, yes, Rebel, I agree. You got to match the ball with the Mon, but with like a bulk challenge like this, I like everything to be uniform. As long as it's all the same or close to the same, because there will still be some cherished balls for the event Pokemon. But at least with all the Pokemon from Fire Red, Leaf Green, and Ruby, Sapphire, Emerald, they'll all be in Pokeballs, which is cool. Oh! Oh! Dude, I actually did! I actually got it first try. I actually... Okay. Okay. All right, well, that paid off. The struggle to set this up, that really paid off. No way! Damn. That's my first, that's the first time that's happened, isn't it? The first time I've gotten it, like, on the first hatch. That's hype. That's really cool. Again, I guess that was compensation for that rough patch on that initial step, but damn, dude. That's pretty cool. I like that. All right. All right, so let's get you guys out of here. Okay, once again, so I don't forget, let's add to the counter. 350, 4 more to go, and check off this first box. This is the male Rhyhorn, and these are the only ones left, other than Mewtwo. These are the only eggs left, is these 3 right here. Very exciting stuff. Yeah, 3 eggs and Mewtwo. And once again, Abra, thank you for your service. Yeah, these 2 are still set. I might as well go back over here. We are absolutely on track. This is for certain. Is the daycare lady confused? I'm sure she is. But yeah, you're right. She's probably seen some things in her time there. So this is not the strangest thing. And yeah, she gets paid either way, so there's really no incentive to make a stink. Okay, so I've set things up for the next Rhyhorn, but I think that's going to be it for me today. I got 3 eggs. I got 3 more. Stands to reason that maybe in the next substantial stream I will be able to finish these eggs and move on to Mewtwo. So be on the lookout for that. I will have more time this week to stream than usual. So I'm probably going to Tuesday or Wednesday you might see me back, and I'm going to try to grind this out. We'll finish things up. Very excited. Hope you are too. And thanks for sticking around with me for the good times and the bad, but mostly the bad. Thank you for that. So have a great rest of your weekends, and I hopefully will see you very soon.